Hold on. Come one, come all. Come one, come all. Come one, come all. Like the show, share the show. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Sean is about to go in. Give me a second, man. I'm shooting this around. Yeah, it's late night. Out of the blue. Sean is about. I ain't telling. Don't share it on Facebook. You gonna go to Facebook jail. All right, so let me go ahead and get started. We ain't got all day. Um, before I say anything, man, I do want to say ETM Hotel Rennie Sean, welcome to peace. My name is Sean Lafayette, West African family out there. I know it's been a minute since you heard from me on the Monster Warrior Clan platform. I actually have presentations, but I just been sitting on them. Um, Tomorrow, Kofi gonna be going in. I think we're gonna get that figured out. Before I start, though, I know Kofi joined the panel. You want to say something, man, before we get to rocking? You on mute, Kofi.
Oh, nothing, man. With peace to the family, man. Peace to the family.
All right. So let me hit mute on there. I was watching the combine. Let's see if I can still do this again. Share. Till I ain't been on here in a minute. All right, let me know when you can see the screen, Kofi.
Yeah, you good.
All right. Let me start.
The Negro Project was horrible. It was ineffective and it failed. It was 1939 to 1942. It was unsuccessful. So when people say, the eugenics or whatever she was doing, I'm like, yo, it failed. It didn't even it wasn't successful.
And what he and Cover said.
Yeah, somebody asked me about hidden colors, and I hate to talk bad about black, black stuff, but I'm like, I said, man, just watch it with it like a movie. Just watch it like a movie. Don't take notes. Don't take notes. Don't take notes. You know.
Let me run that back.
Kidnapping black babies and white folks, kidnapping black. The Negro Project was horrible. It was ineffective and it failed. It was 1939 to 1942. It was unsuccessful. So when people say, the eugenics or whatever she was doing, I'm like, yo, it failed. It didn't even it wasn't successful.
Yeah. And what he and Cover said.
Yeah, somebody asked me about like hidden colors, and like, yeah, I hate to talk bad about like black, black stuff. But I'm like, yo, I say, man, just watch it with it like a movie. Just watch it like a movie. Don't take notes. Don't take notes.
Now, they go live, and dude says he don't like to take shots at black folk. Right? They were talking about hidden colors. They don't like to talk about black folk. In his own words. So about 4 hours later, Kofi on here twice. Your mic, you switching up. Let's go.
About their kids. And they said that was the problem. You feel me? Like, because there's no way they figured, y'all got your own school. You feel me? Y'all schools are failing because of y'all. Why bring that problem to our school? You feel me? Their whole thing was, if your child is not performing at the proper rate, there's something wrong with you. It don't have no, y'all got the same, that was their thinking. You feel me? They didn't see how the school could actually help if the value system, stayed the same. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what they actually believed back then. They would say, we could drive through the black neighborhood during school hours and see kids. This was in the 50s. We could see kids out and not in school. Where the parents at? Why they don't care? I still see that in 2020. You feel me? So if white people was complaining about that, right? In the 50s.
Parents was at work.
At work, whatever you call it. It ain't like white people.
My dad, he worked too. A lot of the black people that became free after slavery, especially a lot of the people that were able to get land through the Freedmen Bureau. And as they have like the catalogs from that time, and like it's a gang of my family members' names all in there, yo.
DK.
Huh?
Yeah,
that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, I'm about to say, make it your closing statement. I'm about to get up out of here, man.
Oh my God.
That was it. That's all I wanted to say. Plug some Black History up in there. Plug the Discord. If y'all have not joined, let me know. I'll send you the link so you can get up in there.
Discord fire. I said that Discord is nice. It's fire.
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
And actually,
certainly is. So look, we're gonna get up out of here. Anybody got any closing thing to say? I know I'm done.
We're gonna leave because you tired. We're gonna leave because you tired.
I think you fall asleep on your shit.
Yeah, that nigga wild, yo. Hey, I'm behind it.
It's crazy.
talk about nobody.
Hey,
I was stranded last night.
you gotta do a real black atheist show, man, and you gotta take nominations for the Tomfoolery of the Year award. You know what I mean? You gotta get that out. So we gotta nominate a couple people. We're gonna see who wins the Tomfoolery of the Year.
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna give that award the Woo job for trying to make God.
He's a nominee. If you want to make him a nominee, you can.
Yeah,
he already won.
God Almighty.
He already won.
Already trying to trick us, bro. Woo be trying to trick us. You be like, come on, yo. Nah, I'm telling you, yo, the alligator head wasn't really an alligator head. What's that? He's funny guy, man. Funny boy. Egyptians, yo, these niggas ain't beat nothing in no time.
Yeah.
Great atheists.
Egyptomania, yo. Like this.
Egyptomania is real, yo.
Yeah, yo. Like that. once you start reading that metadata, it's over. It's over. Once you learn one clip, it's over.
I have not heard. It's not two people on the planet that pronounces that the same way. The metadata.
They bugged out.
You ever heard the way Seti said, metadata?
Hey, Sonetta be like the met two.
It's crazy, yo. Like we gotta, like I think that's last point. I think that that substituted like Black history. I think they focus too much on it to the point where it's bad, yo. Like yeah, that needs to be cleaned up, man. It's out of control, man. It's out of control. I know I'm biased. Doing some work on it, but I'm biased. You've been tripping, yo.
What?
You've been tripping with your blackology.
Nah, you got a bunch of black houses out there.
I mean, you got to put it in its context.
It is.
You and X went a little too far with the blackology.
Nah.
Yeah, I think you getting up there with X now.
Nah. There's a lot of black houses out there, bro. We got to put a stop.
Jaded. You've been jaded.
Yeah, it's getting bad, yo. Like, you know, and it all started when X was trying to say that Egypt wasn't black.
Yeah.
Which I could agree with that. We overemphasize the race of the Egyptians to the exclusion of the other. Like, no, we knew that it was other people there, but we neglected that part to only talk about the black part. So it seemed like we was being blackologists on that point. You
That
feel
word.
me?
No, it wasn't.
It was just acknowledging the blacks that was there. And now what X is saying, right? What you saying or alluding to, that the black people that was in Egypt ain't even black. That's crazy. You feel me? Like, we can point out black people was there. Y'all saying, so they was in North Africa, now they not black. That's nuts. Like
That was
like
X argument, by the way.
Huh?
That was X argument, by the way.
So you don't agree with it?
So you don't agree with that?
I didn't research that.
Okay. All right.
I was agreeing.
Right.
I didn't research that.
You agree.
I don't know, man. You seem really confident in some shit.
That is not my thing at all. That Egypt, Africa,
I mean, just call it like it is. The people are mixed, yo.
Right.
Especially
But
once
you
some
gotta
Arabs
take
started
into
to come up in there, they're definitely mixed.
But you got to take into account Nubia always was there.
Diversity in the world. Come
As
on.
long as you ain't doing no extreme shit saying West Africans are Egyptian.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, they say
You won't go for the
Nobody's
jugular on
gonna buy
your
that
ass.
one, yo. Nobody's buying that.
That's where they at right now. You feel me?
Man,
That's where they
as
play
soon
that
as they
real
said
everybody.
anybody say some shit like that, y'all should have cut them down immediately. I would have been like, where Double X at? Knives and sharpen them bitches up.
Yeah, that's where they at right now, no CJ.
I've been MIA from conscious YouTube. I've been gaming. I've been reading shit.
Yeah.
Working to death.
Baba
Get a new
Haru
job.
made the statement that Egyptians ran into West Africa and started communities there. In the 1400s,
I would have been like, source up.
the Africans that was already in West Africa, instead of selling their own people, started to sell the offspring of the Egyptians that moved into West Africa. So by proxy, the African Americans and the people in the Caribbean are actually the people from Egypt. That is crazy. And y'all may have saw kind of agree with that statement. and pyramids. so they all doing it now. Assad's linking the language up. You feel me?
Yeah.
Looking at pictures.
You mean that looker ship up?
That's what they doing.
Oh, I'm just guessing. Is that really what's happening? Like I said, I ain't been watching none of this shit. I'm just assuming.
No, that's what they doing right now.
Boy, CK on by, she said you on that liquor ship. Liquor ship.
My bad, y'all. I'm getting tired.
Hey, Sheffrin, yup. Yeah, they doing it. Nobody's buying it, though.
This painting, it looks similar to
That
this
was
painting.
you.
That's a conspiracy far, yo. They can talk themselves to death, yo. I need something solid, man.
Hey, Unc, I got an announcement before we go, though.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so if anybody's going to be in Central Florida, March 28th.
All right, so I'm gonna stop right there. And I still got my screen up. So let me do my thing, and then we'll talk about what we just heard. Who are the pseudo killers? Your time's up. Your time's up. You are the kids in the front, not even the front row of the class, yo. You're the kids in the front row of the class, but you propagating information like you're the teachers. Like you're disseminating information and being able to convey it to a class of people where you can actually dictate the terms of scholarship. We need to slow down. We need to let the teachers teach and students be students so that we can learn what we need to learn. And then we grab the information, critique the information, disseminate the information, and make sure that we're solid on what we're gathering, and then pursue. Not sit here and get on a stream and enable ignorance, and then push it off like you studied up on some of these subjects that you was talking about, when the truth is you're not. So this is what's on the agenda. Who are the pseudo killers? What work in the community have they done? What level of research has any of them done on Kemet, West Africa, or the likes? What methodology did they use to come to any of the information they speak on, to come to a conclusion? Should have been in there. What are they fixated on joining a discussion that has very little to do with them? Feelings and emotions is not scholarship. We need to see your work. What work have you done on promoting Black History Month? Because that was one of the claims that was actually made, that this whole conversation was taken away from Black History Month. So let me begin. I'm going to look briefly at European history as mythology, as propaganda, as the creator of personality, which it is. It is mythology, European mythology, European hallucination can only work against us where there is an absence of contact with reality, an absence of knowledge of African history. We hallucinate every night. These hallucinations are called dreams, and they occur at the point where we become detached from reality. We maintain our mental balance and sense of self by the input of our senses. It is necessary that for human beings to maintain sanity, that they receive random input and changing input from the world. That is why we suffer so much when we are put into solitary confinement, where we can't see or hear anything. We may begin to have visions and hallucinations as a result thereof. There are what we call desensitization experiments. Some of us might have gotten a chance to see the movie Altered States that speaks to this kind of experience, where when you remove a person's capacity to see, feel, hear, touch, and so forth, very peculiar things happen to the mind. Hallucination begins to occur, orientation is lost. The individual becomes imbalanced because the information that's normally used to maintain mental equilibrium is absent. We're in a similar state, and when we are in a sleep and the mind creates its own reality, its own movie and show, and we watch it throughout the night. Often we do not know that we are in an unreal world until we wake up the next morning. Reintegration of African history, the true history and culture of African people, must be rediscovered, re-examined, and reintegrated by African people. These approaches to African history and culture must conjointly become the vehicles which facilitate the collective and cooperative action of African people in the pursuit of their liberation. The appropriate reacclimation of African history and culture will provide Africans with a realistic and supportive vision of reality, with self-knowledge, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-acceptance, self-control, with the ability to engage in proactive, self-interested, productive activity, and with the self-enhancing sense of purpose and existential meaningful. Now, an appropriate understanding of African history and culture will provide Africans with an honest, accurate appraisal of their strengths and needs, as well as those of their European counterparts. Such an understanding will allow them to discover the strategic and tactical means of liberating themselves from white supremacy. Africa has a history. Unfortunately, for far too long, little was known about it, and the little that was known was misunderstood. After the comings and goings of hosts of travelers, slave traders, merchants, soldiers, administrators, and scholars of all kinds over thousands of years, the image of Africa in many people's minds has become tainted by misconceptions about its poverty, barbarism, irresponsibility, and chaos. Yet the history of Africa, like the history of mankind as a whole, is really the story of an awakening. That story needs rewriting, for it has been considerably distorted by ignorance of self-interest. Pedagogy became an errand of intense political contestation during the 1960s. I mean, it's supposed to be the 1960s. The flower of Black consciousness expanded popular visions of the purpose and possibilities of schooling. Many progressive theorists believe Black children required a distinctive education designed to meaningfully address their social realities and cultural heritage. African-American parents, students, and intellectuals demanded relevance. And then they proved as central to notions of Black educational salvation as did the ideal of community. Now, I'm gonna run down a couple of more things and then I'm gonna elaborate on why I'm saying what I'm saying right now. Many people already got an idea of why I'm saying specifically what I'm saying or quoting from different authors in retrospect to what I'm about to address. Now, history ain't gonna make you any money. No, it's the lack of knowledge of your history that doesn't make you money. If we get back into our history, get back into our traditions, we'll make money. I'm not an African who tell us to identify with poverty. I think that the more we identify with our African traditions, the richer we're going to become as a people. I'm not here to sell poverty as a virtue. I'm not here to assert that poverty-stricken and welfare-laden people are somehow more virtuous and righteous than people who are making decent livings. That's not my style. We can't say that we are poor and our nations are suffering as a result of our wealth being stolen, when if we take that wealth back, we won't be richer. Now, the American Negro Academy was the first major Black American learned society, and it was founded March 5th, 1897 in Washington, D.C. The Constitution of the ANA defined it as an organization of authors, scholars, artists, and those distinguished in other walks of life, men of African descent, for the promotion of letters, science, and art. This same document describes the society's purpose as follows: A, to promote the publication of scholarly work; B, to aid youths of genius in attainment of higher culture at home or abroad; C, to gather into archives valuable data and the works of Negro authors; D, to aid by publications the dissemination of the truth and the vindication of the Negro race from vicious assaults; E, to publish, if possible, the annual design to raise the standard of intellectual endeavor among American Negroes. Although the chief concerns of the men who founded the ANA were to strengthen the intellectual life of their racial community, improve the quality of Black leadership, and ensure that henceforth arguments advanced by cultural despisers of their race were refuted or at the very least challenged, It was equally significant that the organization was established at a time when white Americans were creating hundreds of learned, professional, and ethnic historical societies. The ANA's birth was also an expression of this general movement among educated members of the American middle class. For those who like to use the word Blackologist, don't know what you're saying or how you're defining anything. You tout it as slander, like you're disrespecting people who are resetting the agenda and writing history from a different perspective. And then you're clumping those who are not hyper diffusing this into the same category with those who are. So your ability to not be crystal clear in your demeanor and then you throw in some names and try to point blame is disrespectful. In the study of language in school, pupils were made to scoff at the Negro dialect as some peculiar possession of the Negro, which they should despise rather than direct to study the background of this language as a broken down African tongue, short to understand their own linguistic history, which is certainly more important for them than the study of French phonetics or historical Spanish grammar. Do you understand what I just read? It is important for you to learn your language. To the African language, as such, no attention was given except in the case of preparation of traders, missionaries, and public functionaries to exploit the natives. This number of persons thus trained, of course, constituted a small fraction hardly deserving attention. Anybody interested in getting any work related to anything that I just basically said, here's the sources for this material. You can pause the video and you can get back to it. Now, let me tell you why I said what I said. My bad. Why I use these particular quotes. Because it addresses a few things, like some of the things that was mentioned in the video earlier, right? Some of the things that was mentioned. They got the talking, they got the rambling, they got the feeling themselves, so on and so forth. Now, these are the same people that I actually communicate with, and they make a lot of mistakes. And they don't listen to be able to correct the mistakes because, you know, some of them don't have the character to actually sit down and hone in on studying these said subjects in which they like to give their opinion in the chat room about, and then go where they feel like they have a safe haven and Brother Aunt on the Pseudo Killer show and talk about whatever they want to talk about and think nobody's paying attention to it. When you say Wujawu name, say his name with him in your presence. The same with Asar. Because Wujawu, Asar, and Sanjeti, whether I agree or disagree with their position on some of the stuff that's going on as of lately as far as the conversations, were not afraid to challenge their own elders in which they followed because they published the work. They put a team together called the Shemsu Heru Research Team. That team challenged one of the most esteemed elders that we hold high in high regard, and that is Sheikh Antijo. But they also took to his instruction and did what he asked them to do. And that was to not take him up on his word and to go and do the work. And when they published the work, it shook up the community and people had fits about the work. They all ran and had a hissy fit. I have another video that I want to play on Sister Lima's channel where she debunks myths. When she debunks myths, many of these myths are held in high regard by people in our community. But she's dispelling those myths. And the latest one they did, Brother Black Panther simply refuted what Dr. Ben had put out about the Al-Kubalan claim. He dealt with that extensively, said where it comes from, the origins, and so on and so forth. Move on next. He didn't disrespect Dr. Ben. He just addressed the claim, moved on. No big deal. We still hold Dr. Ben in high regard. Now, I want to see your work because you guys have a lot to say. I don't see the published journals our ancestors taught us to write. I said it in here in a specific screenshot. The American Negro Academy set the agenda. They were the beginning of what you would call conscious community. CK, you better ask Danny. You need to make sure you have that book in your Discord. It's called the American Negro Academy. It's written by Philip Moss Jr. You need to have that book in your Discord. That'll correct a lot of mistakes. That'll put people on a scholarly plane. The reason why you're in a conscious community is because the foundation was set for us to advance knowledge, not make assumptions, not use improper methodology and then erroneous claims and then tout it like, you're the authority on the subject and that the people that's actually teaching and demonstrating is incorrect. That's not scholarship. Your feelings and emotions is attached to these things. Talking about linguistics is not none of your studies. None of y'all do that. We need to back off that which we don't know anything about and speak to what we do know. None of you guys study extensively West Africa, Central Africa, South Africa, North Africa, East Africa. None of you do. No African languages. Just stay where you at and deal with what you want to deal with. Y'all atheists. Stay there. But you guys are fixated on joining discussions that have very little to do with what you got going on. And you tout it with so much vigor and cockiness. Which begs to the question, who are you? Where is your work? I do know one person that CK, she writes poetry and things of that nature. She actually got a blog. Read a few things. She does some nice poetry. I dig that. Feel me? But that's it. I don't see no work from nobody else, but I hear a bunch of opinions. So every time Unc go live, y'all on the panel, and then it's opinions. I don't care what Unbiased is reading. He don't use proper methodology, so he can't draw an honest conclusion because he's only reading X, Y, and Z. And he's being taught by Wu Jiawu about certain things that helps him understand vaccines. But he don't say that. Y'all coming for people with published work. They stand behind their work. Our ancestors stand behind their work. So when they demonstrate, if you find something that you don't agree with, scholastically address it. Don't give me your opinion on it. Asar has done multiple presentations, has published tons of books. His latest book is over almost 600 pages. He put his to paper for a reason. That's demonstrating. And guess who he's following in the footsteps of? Not just Dr. Ben, not Dr. Clark, John G. Jackson, Chancellor Williams, and the Schomburg and the likes. He following after also the other greats, the people that are seldom talked about. And then you guys turn around and said that this whole discussion about West Africa and Kemet has ruined Black History Month. That's Black history. West Africa, Black history. Kemet, Black history. And then you talk about Kemet trying to say it was a mixture of people in that area, and you don't even know what time period you're talking about. You don't know who was there before the invaders came in and they started integrating in that particular area. It was already established before you start seeing admixture. It was on its way. It was an epicenter way before. You don't start seeing foreign rulers until the middle down. They like to say when the Hyksos came around and the Lycans. So you gotta know what you're talking about. You just can't sit here and say, yeah, man, it was nah, you regurgitating some stuff you'd heard somebody else say on another channel, and then you don't want to deal with it. We have to use proper methodology on all things. So when y'all come out and say the things that y'all saying, where did you get it from? Why should I believe you? Who are you? I think maybe one person, Sheffer, might have did some community work. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Good brother, cool, but sometimes he talk from the left side of his mouth and he don't know what he's talking about sometimes when it come to Africa. I'm just being honest. In some cases, that's just my position on it. And I challenge every last one of them to show their work, because that's what our ancestors would do. So if you disagree with a position that somebody takes when they're demonstrating, the best thing for you to do is put your pen to paper and publish your work, or you won't have time for that. But you can do a 4.5 hour, almost 5 hour live stream. And if I'm go live right now, you willing to do another 4.5 hours. You will talk us to death. But now I'm asking you guys to show your work, because I do not think you comprehend what I'm requesting from you at all. Brother Kofi, I know you had something you want to say, so the floor is yours, sir.
No, I didn't have too much, man. Like I said, and then you kind of like touched on it just then. Like, I mean, I didn't see, but like I said, the last maybe 20 minutes of the show, I'll listen to it on my work from work. So I don't know what was said on the show, but I mean, only thing like I disagree with when that was Brother Sheffer, the way he put it. Like I said, I'm it came off like um he was equating that Africa was like America, not Africa, but Kemet was like America. It was America is a melting pot, a mixture of different groups of people, and we only, I mean, where they only touched on um what the black people in Kemet did. We know Kemet was a multitude of different African ethnic groups that came together and formed this great utopia, this great empire, or this great information center. This was everybody came to get their information. Great infrastructures was built in this particular place, and it's you don't get till you start looking at the intermediate period, the first intermediate period, the second intermediate period, the third intermediate period, and so forth. You start to see these different invasions. You start to see the Hyksos, um, other different groups are coming into Kemet, the Greeks, the Romans, the French coming in, but this was way later. Kemet was well established before you start to get any of those um, different invasions, or before the government started to break down. Like I said, if you study those intermediate periods, you can see where those during those intermediate periods, you had different people or different invasions that happened. The government broke down because of this for particular reasons. So, that's the only thing I seen that I didn't agree with, was he was speaking like Kim had always been mixed, and people are speaking on what the people of color did. And I'm using the people of color because we know black is a social construct. And, at that particular time, they wasn't saying they black, they white, such and such. But we know that Kemet was way established before any other group of people came came in. And you know, I agree with what you said too far as like critique. And I was trying to find those 4 points that I wrote down. It qualifies a person to critique um people on said subjects. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question real quick before you move on. You you know, because you're dealing with qualified to critique and so on and so forth. So and we're talking about Kemet, and we're talking about people living in the area. But you know, we use the skin map a lot. The Amara Squad has used the skin map a lot when they talk about, you know, skin shades and tones and so on and so forth. I think that would be useful for some of them to actually go and actually study the skin map. But also, the reason for this is to promote literacy and also writing. Quit being a personality behind a screen and put your disagreements on paper and promote real scholarship. You know what I'm saying? If you disagree and you feel the way that you feel, then do it scholastically, because we don't respect you behind your computer screen if that's all you're going to do is give us your opinion about something, which is just like, you know, everybody got one.
You said it's a scholastic way. I agree with what you're saying, but you know, like I don't know none of the particular brothers. Like I say, you know them. They seem pretty cool. Like I said, I done jumped on the panel with them. But do they say that they are scholars? I mean, because you know, that's what scholars do. You know, when they have a disagreement on something, they put pen to paper. You know, and the prime example of that, what I'm saying is, in our day and time, or what we see in the day and time, whether you like both of the brothers or whether you don't like both of the brothers, you got to respect both of those brothers. That's Asar Imhotep and brother what's the Muslim brother name? Golly, he's escaping
Muhammad.
Yeah.
Muhammad.
Basically Muhammad. Those brothers have had disagreements on said subjects for a few years now, and those brothers are doing it scholastically. You know, those guys are writing articles, or if they're not writing articles, they are actually putting out books. They are publishing books. You know what I'm saying? And they doing it the scholastic way. I mean, so I'm asking is though, and if they say they're not scholars, you know, do they have to? I'm asking, do they have to put it on pen and paper if they disagree with somebody, but they say they not, you know, they say they're not scholars?
Well, to be honest, we shouldn't value their opinion. You know, if they're unable to do the work, we shouldn't value their opinion, because that's all they're giving us is their opinion and no work.
Yeah.
And then at that point, then you're appealing to authority because you're not demonstrating any work to show us how you came to that conclusion. And then you're lazy. So you want us to appeal to your laziness, and you want us to listen to you argue from ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and then you'll say what someone else is doing, and then you try to dumb down what they're doing because you're unable to do it. You know, because you can't climb a mountain don't mean that I can't. So don't tell me what I can't do because you're challenged to do such. And, you know, the agenda needs to be set. We need a resetting of the agenda. Now, to Brother Sheffrin's point, there is some things that I do not agree with that has been said by numerous people, especially that West African enslaved Egyptian claim stuff. I don't buy it. There's some other stuff, but Brother Kofi and myself both study Medu Neter. We both study West Africa. We both study Central and South and North Africa as well. So we're not limited in our studies to one thing. And we also study American history. We share Black history 365 days a year, not 1 month. We're not subjected to that. So what we do is, and what people don't realize is see, I wrote a little article about the American Negro Academy. You know, I put that in my journal. I think also it's on blackpanthersyria.com. And it's written like that for a reason, because I write about Africa and I write about our struggles here in the Americas. I resort both to that. So I'm playing both sides. I'm connecting it because some of the people that we talk about were striving to be Pan-Africanists as well as intellectuals. So we needed, that's what I was saying earlier about the changing of the guard. We need to set a whole new expectation. So when we get personalities behind a computer screen saying certain things and not demonstrating these things, then we just need to pass it off. Just, you know what I'm saying? What makes them different than the Harlem Circus Club?
Okay.
We about scholarship. You know, when you say consciousness, scholarship should be treating that. Like, if consciousness is our ultimate goal, then scholarship should be feeding the consciousness. And our goal is to get it right. So if we have a disagreement, we better be able to back it up.
Show and prove. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you on that. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be hard, like, you know, for us to transition. It's like we still stuck in time, you know. And I keep saying that. That's why when we did a show on it, it's conscious community stuck in time. I don't think we gonna shift. I have a paradigm shift from appealing to authority. I think we're not gonna have a paradigm shift or disagreeing and putting it down on paper. I think we're not gonna have a paradigm shift from parakeeting. You know what I'm saying? I say that a lot because even when you talk about appealing to authority, like you said, you know, people being lazy and not doing the work, they rather listen to what somebody else is saying and then go back and regurgitate what somebody else said. And that's years of conditioning. And what I mean by years of conditioning, like, and I say this a lot, we come from out of the European institutions, you know, and those institutions, those religious institutions, you know, most of us in America come out of the church. Some of us come out of the mosque. Some of us come out of the synagogue, but a majority of us come out of the churches. And coming out of those churches, you know, we have been groomed and we have been conditioned to listen to what somebody else is saying, and when he talks and how he talks, you know, with proper rhetoric, you know what I'm saying, talking like he's highly intelligent and well studied. We go off of what the other individuals say. So when we come out of those different institutions, we still bringing that same paradigm that we had when we left those other institutions. And that's what's happening in, I see, the conscious community. We still, those individuals that we left the church, the synagogues and the mosques, those individuals that was our preachers, our ministers, our priests, whatever the title of in those different institutions, the conscious community guys that saw us a YouTube channel, puts out some information and talk, those are the new pastors. Those are the new preachers. So those individuals just take the information that this other guy might have researched and not going back to verify what these individuals, well, it's hard to go back and verify what some of these individuals are saying, but go back and verify what some of these people are saying. They fall in love at the way that they speak, how they deliver stuff when they're talking, you know what I'm saying, or just how they just talk about other people, man. So it's gonna be hard, man, to I just think it's just gonna be hard, man, for people to come to have a new paradigm, you know, and I believe that if you're not well studied in a certain subject matter, I think that you should be quiet. Like there's certain conversations that's been going on. You don't hear me say anything about it because some of those like vaccines. I'm not studied in vaccines, so you won't hear me talk about vaccines. You hadn't seen me did one presentation, wrote one article, spoke about it on anybody platform about vaccinations. If I'm on somebody other platform, I'm on there to learn, like brother you know, they well studied in vaccination. So you know, and even Sean, you know, Sean did a presentation way before vaccinations, you know, this discussion got popular and the event took place and then the conversations after the event, you know, and I've been on the panel and I won't say anything, you know what I'm saying? I be quiet. And I read a few things on it and was confused on a little bit of things on it, but I never spoke on it like I knew what I was talking about or I was well versed in the information because I read maybe a few articles or I heard a few people say a few things about um vaccinations and certain things. So I just be quiet. That's just me. If I'm not well studied in certain things, when certain conversations come up, I be quiet. You see what I'm saying? I think a lot of people in the community need to do the same thing. You know, researching something for an hour before a show come on or reading one book, you know what I'm saying? And then after you read one book, you know what I'm saying, does not give you the authority to come and, you know what I'm saying, assimilate information to people like you, the authority of it, or like you well studied in a particular subject matter, man. But I mean, I don't know what it's gonna take, man, for us to have that paradigm shift. But again, I do agree with what you're saying. If we disagree with someone, we or with whatever it is, we need to do it in a scholarly way. I do it, but I don't consider myself a scholar. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. And I'm learning, but I'm trying to follow in the footsteps of what the ancestors, you know, what the ancestors did, because the if you look back in the 1950s, the 60s, or a little bit earlier than that, you see a lot of our ancestors putting pen to paper, you know what I'm saying, writing books, writing articles, traveling, getting primary evidence, or traveling and speaking to uh other people and picking their minds and getting information and studying the culture, you know what I'm saying, by being there via on the grounds, and etc. But this generation, where the last couple of generations, like I said, I see, you know, it's the same thing, man. We still conditioned. I think I'll say we need some counseling, man. We need some counseling, man, because we mad at other things, but we bringing the same things over into the conscious community, man. And that's parakeeting. That's one thing that I don't like in it is parakeeting, listening to what another person is saying and not going back to verify what these individuals are saying or speaking too quick on said subjects and you not well versed in the subject matter. I can speak about African culture because I'm well studied in African culture. I've been studying African culture since 2013. Um, um, Session Meta Nature, started out studying Session Meta Nature and Kemet, so I can speak about Kemet. I've studied the language since 2015. I'm in a group called the Session Ani Meta Nature. We're still studying the language, um, the writing script, and the culture of Kemet. West, like you said, West Africa. You know what I'm saying? Masi warrior clan specializes in West Africa. Central Africa, North Africa, South Africa, even over here in America. So those are the things that I can speak on, and I can be confident with speaking on it because, again, I've been studying it since 2013, and I have a track record as well as you, Brother Sean, has a track record as well on some of these said subjects. So like I said, I just, you know, we just we got to have a paradigm shift, man.
Yeah.
Bugging, ain't it?
I'm laughing at yeah, man. So for real, you know what I mean? Um, we just need to promote scholarship, like for real. Like enough with the talking, man. Let's promote scholarship. The only reason I'm saying who are the pseudo killers because we need to see your work. You know what I mean? Y'all can't hide behind brother Unc. He got published work. You know, he a part of the Amara squad. But the rest of y'all are just trying to piggyback and ride, you know, I don't know. One of y'all, one or two, might be trying to use for your own publicity. I don't know. It's none of my business. But I've always said something about methodology. I've always said something about publishing your work. Always said how important it is to put pen to paper, even if it's just an article. We need to promote scholarship. That's it. Our ancestors wrote. That's what we need to do. Our ancestors wrote. Our ancestors read books. They had study teams. They done had study teams that was geared around real research and advancing knowledge. You know what I'm saying? We need to take advantage of the tools that was given to us by our forefathers and implement them into everything that we do. So some people call this YouTube consciousness, but the only reason YouTube consciousness exists is because the majority of the people who claim to be consciousness don't read books and all they do is watch YouTube. So if we know that, then we shouldn't be the people who are playing on other people's ignorance, and we should be helping advance knowledge and critique it in a scholarly way so that the people can see how to advance it and adjust and know, because we can easily mislead people and get them the wrong information when we just start giving our opinion and we just start saying things. That's a detriment to the movement, to the progressiveness of our culture and our people.
So where do you think where do you think we went wrong at, Sean? What I mean by, like, you just made a statement that and it's a fact because I just said it too. Our ancestors wrote. They even set a template for us to follow. You know what I'm saying? To follow and even take it further than what they did. I mean, writing. You know, like you go back and you look at those different times. You know, that's what they did. They wrote. Like I said, they wrote articles. They wrote books. They traveled to these places to get information, to pick people's minds, to get information right there on the ground. So what you think happened now? You know, no, everybody's lazy. Nobody want to read. Nobody want to research. Nobody want to write. Everybody got opinion. You know, so what do you think it went wrong at?
Um, I mean, you know, when people like Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Chancellor Williams, John G. Jackson, you know, I call them the Four Horsemen, I was gonna write an article called The Four Horsemen of Consciousness. But when that area transition, uh, you know, the infused movement of metaphysics or makeup, you know, scholarship took over. It wasn't until the Amara squad that we started asking for references. So there was a huge gap, and consciousness took off in a period to where YouTube became more popular and this information was widespread and more people were coming into this consciousness via YouTube. And what they were seeing was the metaphysical era. You know, they wasn't seeing the true essence of what the Harlem History Club presented, what the American Negro Academy presented, the struggle for liberating the intellectual mind of Black people for our progressive movement forward. They weren't seeing any of that. So if you don't see those things, then you're only going to gravitate to that which does two things: give you feel good rhetoric and hyper diffusionist historiography. So you have to think about it. Even in the 60s, during the Black liberation movements, the agenda was about education. They fought hard in the 60s and 70s for education, while the women were fighting for equal rights. And then all of a sudden, having that movement infused with feminism and so on and so forth, cohesively, the struggle was about education and other things. But I'm saying education was always at the forefront of that argument, that movement. And you get there because they found that it was important. It was important in the early 1900s. It was important in the 60s because they were telling us that we are ignorant of who we really are, and we need to start redefining ourselves based on this information that is now available to us, based on the work of other people and the ability for us to put these pieces together. And so we got lazy the last 5-6 years.
Man, I think it's been longer than that, man. To be
Yeah,
honest,
it's been longer than that, but
I didn't get. I got introduced to the conscious community in 2008, the late end of 2012, and ain't nothing changed from 2012 up until 2020. I hadn't seen a whole lot. I seen a little bit. I'm not gonna say nothing. I see a little bit as changed, but most of it is the same thing. And I agree with you too. I mean, it has become popular, and I'll say the same thing again. Conscious community is the new church. It's the new church, and anybody can be a pastor now. Anybody can create a YouTube channel, and anybody can disseminate some information, or and those guys, long as their delivery is right, or they got the backing behind some other conscious community person that may have some views, may be seen on some bigger platforms. They can become a new pastor too. Those people are transitioning over from the church to my synagogue, bringing that same paradigm over. And those individuals that has the channel can disseminate that information. And those same people are going to take that information that's not verified and then come back and what somebody else parakeet what somebody else is saying, man. It's what, like I said, I don't know what it'll take, man, to change it, but
all right. So I don't even want to continue to harbor on that, but what I do want to say is I want to go ahead and get this out here real quick for the people. And this is just a little West African history real quick, because I was going to throw a little snippet video up regarding this, but instead I'm going to give it to you guys now while we live. This is the Mill. The Mill was the title of a ruler or king of the Wolof Kingdom in Cayor in what is now Northwest Senegal, West Africa. The most well-known Demil is probably Lat Dior Diop, from 1842 to 1886, who died in battle during the final French drive to capture his territory, which is one of the strongest areas of resistance. Lat Dior is a Senegalese national hero. He's the 30th and the last Demil. Well, the 30th and last Demil of Cayor is Samba Leobe Fall. Notice the last name is Fall. We have a member of the Maasai warrior clan whose name is Fall. Also, Brother Ben is linked. I think if he can correct me if I'm wrong. I know he's listening, but I think he related to some jokes. So anyway, Samba Leobe Fall could be related to Aziz Fall of the Maasai warrior clan. I need to ask him. Was killed by the leader of the French delegation, Captain Spicer, at Tivonier Synagogue. He was killed due to a little, the little war or whatnot. But that's just a little, West African jewel for the folks today, you know. But I will say this though, I just have high expectations for scholarship, I don't want to sit behind the screen and we get into we have no takeaways. We just start bumping our gums for no reason. And we should have expectations. And people should challenge people to have those same expectations and initiatives to be able to put information forward, because a lot of people are relying on us to get this thing right. Right? But before we go, Kofi, you got anything, man?
Nah, man. I'm
What about tomorrow? What you gonna do?
I'm gonna do my be on the lookout for. I'll be back on my Swerve Clan channel tomorrow. I don't know what time, but I'll be doing the Poro secret society presentation. It's a secret society in West Africa. They counterparts of the Bundo Sandy Society. I already did a presentation over a year and a half on the Women's Secret Society in Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guyana, Cote d'Ivoire, on those women's secret societies. So the counterpart to the Sandy Bundo at the Poro secret society. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. If you hadn't already checked out the excuse me, the um article I did, secret societies in Africa and their purpose, go to Kofi Paisai, writtencompositions.com, WordPress.com to get the article, to check out the article. I got a little write up on the Poro in there, but I didn't give a whole lot of information, but I gave enough. But you can check out some of that information on the Poro Society. But I did a whole lot on other different secret societies. In there, I may come back in the future. Maybe I may come back late tomorrow night and discuss the secret societies in Africa and their those purposes, which would lead into maybe another article or maybe a presentation. Is with is family can family be considered a secret society? Because I wrote the whole article to show what the purpose. They have many purposes, I mean many roles, but what was their main purpose of these different secret societies. So I talk about a bunch of secret societies in the article. So go check that out. But I may come back and do like a whole review and we kind of go over a lot of those other different secret societies. Some you may have heard of, some of them you may not have heard of. I'm gonna touch on another one that I hadn't heard anybody spoke on with the Poro Society, because um, they have something to do with the Bundo Society. They some of the Bundo members are initiated into this other particular secret society, and some of the sisters and the women in this particular secret society is initiated into the Bundo Society, and they have a bunch of different similarities. So the woman purpose and their role of the secret society. um, but it's in the article, so check it out. But I'll touch on a little bit on the presentation on tomorrow, and we may come back tomorrow on Kofi Paisai TV. We try to have everybody from Kofi Paisai TV family affiliates: Sean Satepenrod, Sutek, Vasa Nicolo Gullah, T'Challa Bungara, and have a discussion on these particular brothers. What are their particular skill sets? What do they have to offer? And maybe some things that they may have coming up down the pipeline, or things that they may have going on in their own community. So be on the lookout for that. But that's all I have, man. Please subscribe to the channel, my Word Clan channel. Please subscribe to Kofi Paisai TV. Please subscribe to Seshu Mahani Meta Nature, The Real Black Atheist on Fire, NBK, whoever else out there that I may be forgetting, that, but That's it, man. That's all I have, man. Yeah, the leopard. Somebody said the leopard society. I didn't touch on the leopard society in
Yeah, I got
that.
a little small video on the Liberal Society. It's like 2.5, 3 minutes. Just a nice little build on them.
Yeah,
That was done maybe a month and a half ago or something like that. If you scroll down the timeline, there's a lot of 4 to 6 minute videos that you can get through real quick to get some nice information on West African history and culture.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, by the way, shout out to all the new subscribers. We have had a gang of new subscribers. I have seen some new faces in the chat lately and people that have tuned in during this late night impromptu. However, we appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. This is not an attack. This is not because those are our brothers and sisters. We build, like I said. We talk, we on the same panels majority of the time. What it is a plea for a more scholarly approach toward disseminating and critiquing information. That's all this really is. This is nothing, that people should be crying about. You know what I mean? If you want to cry about it, it's okay. You want to say I'm tripping, it's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm not telling you what to say or do. I'm merely making a scholastic request on the grounds of scholarship, on the grounds of consciousness. So, in order to feed your consciousness, you got to have the right information. So, we disagree, put it to paper, and demonstrate. Tell me why you disagree on paper. Don't just, blatantly say it because you can change your mind. But when you put pen to paper, you hold true to that position. So if you really and truly stand on your disagreement, you put pen to paper, and therefore it can be addressed appropriately. If you're afraid to do that, then what sense does it make to give us your opinion in the first place? Because it shouldn't be respected or sounding as if people are trying to propagate things that they may not even be propagating because you may have quoted them out of context, which is another thing that, that all of us have to get better at doing, even myself. So, tune in tomorrow, Kofi up again. You know what I'm saying? I haven't done anything in a long time. But I do have 2 presentations in the holster. I need to work on another article because the Massa Warrior Clan is about promoting scholarship and standing on our ancestors' shoulders. And in order to do that, we must advance knowledge, and that's what we're gonna stand for: advancing knowledge. No matter and no matter who it is in the Massa, that's what we want to do. Nobody is above correction. We all can get it. You know what I'm saying? So, just laugh at, I'm laughing right now at something else, but it is what it is. You feel me? So, I'm going to say Shimon Hotep, and y'all have a good one, man.